So it's not the case that if voluntarism is true, then it could be our duty to do that. God wouldn't tell us to do that because it's wrong to do it. And God wouldn't tell us to do something wrong. And I say, in response to that, that just misunderstands voluntarism. According to voluntarism, if God told us to torture our children for fun, it would be our duty to do that. Apart from God. You see why? And does everybody see why?
Can you just repeat what their bullet is?
So this bullet was an objection to P1, okay? I'm just going to object to P1. Objections to P1, okay? The first one was P1 is false because God would never command C command baby torture. Because it's wrong.
And then that just like misunderstands what voluntarism is.
In response to this, right, I said, let's just misunderstand what voluntarism is. Voluntarism is the view that whatever God tells us to do is what we ought to do, period. You're assuming that there's a standard of morality that's apart from God. That makes baby torture wrong, and God follows it. The whole point is that a voluntarism is that God's not following anything, God's making it up. So then the person tries a second little bullet here. And they say P1 is false because God wouldn't command us to do that. Not because it's morally wrong, but just because God loves us, or because that's just not in God's nature to do that. And my response to that is, P1 doesn't say God will. It says it could be our duty, not it will be our duty. And likewise, if they say P1 is false because it isn't our duty to torture infant children, I'd say that's not what the argument says. The argument says that if voluntarism is true, it could be our duty. So that just is not it's irrelevant because it's not responding to the argument.
And then is it also, it's like not wrong for him to stop loving the shooter because
But that's in the other argument, I think.
that's not part of that.
I mean, I see why you think it is, and, you know, it would be terrible to say it here, too, but, not where I would put it, I guess. There was another objection to this one, right? This says that it couldn't be our duty. It's not the case that it could be our moral duty to torture infants for fun. It couldn't be our duty to torture infants for fun. Okay? An objection to that says, yes, it could. It could be our duty to torture infants for fun. And you just think it couldn't, Don, because you were raised in a world in which it isn't our duty. But if you had been born into a world in which God had told us to do that, you'd think it was okay to do that. And to that I say, I don't care what I would think in a world in which God made me think crazy things. Of course I would think that. If God made me think I was a kumquat, I would think I was a kumquat, but it's not a reason to think I'm a kumquat now.
And that's still P1.
That's P2 actually, because P2 says it couldn't be our duty. And this person comes back and says, yes, it could, and you just don't think it could because you grew up in a world in which it isn't. So you're too narrow-minded, Don, to think that it could be our duty, but it could. See, P2 says it couldn't be our duty. It denies C. It says that this is false. It could be our duty. Couldn't be our duty, they say. I say it couldn't. It's not the case that it could be our duty. So they say, yes, it could be our duty. And you just think it couldn't, Don, because you are biased. See what I mean? Not really? Let's do it slowly. Look, so this is what C says. It could be our duty. So in my argument, I say, no, it couldn't be our duty. All right? See the knob here? No, it couldn't be our duty. The reply comes back, yes, it could be our duty. C is true after all. You're not right. You're wrong to deny it here. It could be our duty. It would be our duty, in fact, if God told us to. And then they added, you just think it wouldn't because you're biased. And I say, this is a bias that I have to live with. I'm biased in favor of thinking I'm not a kumquat too, but I'm not worried about that bias.
And that was your response.
That was my response.